Morning, welcome back to Devotion. Today we are looking at James 1:26 and 27. We are in the book of James this whole week, and I'm just pulling out some of the key passages that are in this book. James, as I said yesterday, is very down the line. He's very blunt. He's not pulling any punches. And in good old James style, we come to 1:26. It says, "If anyone thinks he is religious and does not bridle his tongue, but deceives his heart, this person's religion is worthless. Religion that is pure and undefiled before God the Father is this, to visit orphans and widows in their affliction and to keep oneself unstained from the world." He is telling it like it is, which this first verse should really step on our toes. It should really make every single one of us stop for a minute and let those words sink in. If anyone thinks he is religious and does not bridle his tongue, but deceives his heart, this person's religion is worthless. I mean, that's an odd statement. I mean, would you ever correlate someone being religious with the proof of that being how well they can control their tongue? And we're not talking about like saying swear words, because obviously they didn't speak English back then. We're talking about bridling the tongue, like not pushing for your agenda, not talking back to someone, not degrading, demeaning, gossiping, dehumanizing people, being overly critical of people. Like that's what we're talking about with bridling the tongue. It's like, like when someone just like triggers you and you feel that like little flame in your heart, and you just want to spout your mouth off at them because you got the perfect words to say. That's what he's talking about. The person who cannot in that moment bridle their tongue, meaning like a bridle is on a horse, like control it. And I love James bringing this out here because it's so telling. Because the mouth speaks what's in the heart. And so if I'm not able to control what I say, how I say it, if I'm always flying off the handle, if I'm always rude to people, if I'm always dehumanizing or hypercritical of my children, something ain't right in here. And that's where religion starts, in here. When I find myself being very untethered with my mouth, and again, I'm not talking about using certain words, I'm talking about the corruption of the tongue, if you know what I mean. When I'm, again, rude, dehumanizing, overly critical, whatever it may be. That is a warning sign to me that something is out of alignment in my heart and in my soul. And I need to go before God and allow him to search me and to show me what is going on inside of me. Now, James just doesn't leave us here saying, well, that's not religion. He actually gives us a definition for what pure and undefiled religion is. Meaning, religion in its purest form is this. And I do want to note that the word religion is only found in the Bible a handful of times. And here, in verse 27, the word religion is translated from the Latin word religio. Religio is the same word that we get the English word ligament from, which may sound odd, but there's a reason. What do ligaments do, right? The ligaments in my body, what do? They literally hold my body together. They hold my skeleton structure together. My ligaments connect my kneecap to my femur bone so that it's not just flying around in the body. And that is what religion is intended to do. It is to bind us back to the purity of our Father. Pure and undefiled religion keeps us connected. Now, if I was to ask a random person on the street or in your church or my church or whatever, hey, how would you define religion? I think very few people would say, the purest definition of religion is to take care of the widow and the orphan in their distress and to keep myself untainted from the world. Now, why would James say that pure and undefiled religion is this? To care for the widow and the orphan in their distress. Well, what it triggers in my mind immediately is the parable that Jesus taught in Matthew of the end of the age. He separates the sheep and the goats. The goats are separated from the kingdom of God and they go into outer darkness, whereas the sheep are welcomed in. Well, the determining factor in that parable of who's a sheep and who's a goat is not theological beliefs. Jesus said the goats were the ones that I was thirsty and you didn't give me a drink. I was in prison and you didn't visit me. I was naked and you didn't clothe me. And then the sheep did do those things. Well, all of those things are serving the needy, the less fortunate, the marginalized, the ones in society that no one else wants to be with or serve. And James is confirming that, affirming that. He is saying that pure and undefiled religion is proved by going to the least of these, going out of our way to take care of those who are in vulnerable situations, to take care of those who are in need, to take care of those who are on the outskirts of our society. That's the purest and most undefiled form of binding ourselves back to God. And I must say, I put this to test in my own life. There have been times where it's like, I feel far from God, or I just don't know what's going on. I feel confused spiritually, whatever. And then my tendency is to try to do good spiritual works, you know what I mean? Like pray more, read more, talk to people more, or whatever. And those are good things. But a lot of times when that's my motive, I'm almost like putting myself in this striving cycle and I don't get anywhere. But the moment I reach out and care for someone else, I feel a flood of the grace of God, a flood of the presence of Jesus with me. There is a reason why the friends of Jesus were sinners, the lame, the outcast, the leper, the prostitute. There's a reason. He was our example of what pure and undefiled religion looks like. And this verse concludes with, and to keep oneself unstained from the world. This gets confusing. I grew up in the 80s and 90s, and the church was on this rampage with the world. And they made the world about all of the external things, like can't wear these clothes, you can't have, punk rock hair, you can't have earrings, tattoos, all the things I have. They made it about the world being like that, like it was the outward stuff. But that's not what James is talking about. The way of the world is using people for personal gain, serving the self, making sure that I'm put before everyone else, that everything that I need and want is top priority. That's the way of the world. And so it is a coupling of being with the vulnerable, serving the needy, giving to those who have less than me. Couple that with, and keeping my heart pure, keeping it untainted, keeping it from the ways of propping myself up, or always reaching to have more even when I have enough, or coveting my neighbor's goods. That's a big one. We never talk about that. Coveting my neighbor's goods. I mean, we're all guilty of that, right? You see what someone else has and you want it. And then you feel bad about yourself, or just like a victim because you don't have it, right? That's what it means to covet what someone else has. Those are all the ways of the world that we are keeping our heart untainted from. So to land the plane for today, two things. One, if I can't control my tongue, if I can't keep my mouth shut when I am burning inside and want to say what I want to say, James tells me that my religion is worthless. And two, pure and undefiled religion, real religion, is caring for the widow and the orphan, which are just examples of those who are in need or less fortunate, and keeping my heart untainted from the world, or pure. And I tell you what, if we as believers learn how to keep our mouth shut, to walk humbly before God, and to serve the less fortunate, this world would be turned upside down.